Good afternoon and welcome to the introductory informational webinar with the UVI Creativity Lab and the University of the Virgin Islands. This webinar is being hosted in collaboration with the UVI Creativity Lab and the VI SBDC. My name is Mary Jo Williams and I'm the Network Training Coordinator for the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center, and I will be your facilitator moderator for today's session. UVI Creativity Lab and how it can help your business during COVID-19 and beyond. Okay, today's session is being recorded and will be posted on our Facebook page and uploaded to our YouTube channel. Today's presenter is Dr. Camille McHale, and Dr. McHale is the Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs at the University of the Virgin Islands. Previous to this, she served as Dean of the College of Science and Mathematics. As Provost, she led the development of UVI's first PhD program in creative leadership for innovative change, which graduated its first PhD recipients in 2018. Dr. McHale received her PhD in mathematics from Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. Her undergraduate degree is in mathematics from Bates College in Maine. She recently completed a master's certificate in creativity and change leadership from Buffalo State College International Center for Creativity Studies. Her current research interests are in the area of creative studies, creative leadership, STEM education, and STEM leadership. Before Dr. McHale starts with her presentation, we'll have Mr. Ted Gutierrez, the State Director for the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center, give us some introductory remarks. Mr. Gutierrez?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Mary Jo, and thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this training webinar with the VI Small Business Development Center, or VI SBDC. I want to thank Dr. McHale, Provost McHale, Nick Drayton, and the rest of the talented team at the UVI Creativity Lab for this collaboration. And we're excited to formally introduce the collaboration between SBDC and the UVI Creativity Lab. Now, we did a little bit of this earlier, well, actually late last year, to kind of test the waters. And we found that the folks that were able to utilize the Creativity Lab got some fantastic assistance from them. I do want to also say that part of our CARES Act funding that we received allowed us to establish this collaboration to do two things. Number one, promote UVI and all of its programs out to the community. But number two, allow additional community members to take advantage of these programs that are offered by UVI. So we're super excited to have them as one of our partners going forward. And we look to potentially helping the small businesses in our territory. We all know how crucial it is to make sure that we have an infrastructure that supports small businesses. And this is just one of the many things that we do at SBDC and along with our host, the University of the Virgin Islands. Now, stay tuned towards the end of the program so that you can get an idea of some of their upcoming trainings that we have through UVI and the VI Small Business Development Center. But for now, I would definitely like to say, once again, thank you to Provost McHale and the fantastic staff at UVI Creativity Lab. I believe they're going to take questions either at the end or enter some questions into the chat as we go along. But without further ado, I will hush up and hand it over to Dr. McHale. So thank you so much. We are very lucky to have you guys on board with us.
Hello, good day, everyone. We are so excited to be here. I'm here with actually a team. I have been nominated to be it today, so the presentation will be my voice, but it's really on behalf of the entire UVI Creativity Lab team. So I'm part of that team today, along with Nick Drayton, Leslie Tong, and Deborah Finley-Jackson. So again, thank you so much for your attention. We're going to actually share video with you. The presentation. So the presentation we have is about 15 minutes. You can jot your questions down, put them in chat. We'll try to answer them, if not during, then certainly at the end of the presentation. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I am Camille McHale and serve as the provost at the University of the Virgin Islands. Today, I wear a different hat, that of creativity specialist in UVI's Creativity Lab. What I'm hoping to share with you is an introduction to creativity and how UVI's Creativity Lab might be able to assist. So, from this brief presentation, I hope you get a better understanding of creativity, at least at a high level, and that you leave here knowing that it is for you and that the Creativity Lab is here to help. We will steal a tool from journalism, which is also a tool that we use in creativity that we call 5 W's and an H. So if you want to know about something, 5 W's and an H. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. But I'm going to change the order a bit. We will give an overview of what creativity is, why you might want to know, for whom is creativity, when might it come into play, where, and how. Trying to give you some food for thought regarding the field. So, what is creativity? There are many definitions, and here is one. Creativity is novelty that is useful. So ponder that for a second, and there are two really important words. Novelty and useful. So here we're not just talking about creativity for creativity's sake. There is an end goal, though usefulness might be in the eye of the user. But creativity, novelty that is useful. Another favorite definition for me is this one. Creativity is the ability to overcome self-imposed constraints. Ponder that for a second. And as you ponder it, think about the times that you might have imposed constraints on yourself. It's at those times that creativity might be your answer. Often we think of creativity and innovation as one and the same. However, if innovation is the front end, then creativity is the back end. The creativity stage is where you generate ideas and you develop the solutions. However, innovation happens when these creative solutions are implemented. Creativity and innovation go hand in hand. Creativity, though, is dependent on many things. We have the sense of what is creativity. We can also look at the who, the where, the how, and we'll come back to the why later. So what impacts creativity? Many of us think of creativity in terms of what we call the 4 Ps, as per Mel Rhodes, who was a leading figure in the study of creativity. These all work together and are all important. The person, the process used, the product that results, and then what about the environment or the place or the climate or the culture that helps creativity and innovation happen. There are aspects of an environment that can make it more or less conducive to creativity. But we want to make sure that we own creativity. Creativity is really for everyone. So who can be creative? We all can be creative. And myriad studies show that it can be taught. You are human, you are creative. Claim it. We got to where we are today, us humans, because of creativity and ingenuity. We can't fly. We can't outrun most of the predators that have existed for as long as we have on this planet. We're not great swimmers. So how did we last? What do you do in the face of danger? You might have heard of fight, flight, or freeze. Well, that would likely have gotten us killed. As one creativity expert puts it, fight, flight, freeze, or innovate. And when you lean into this creativity that is yours to own, you reap the benefits. What are some of the benefits that come with you learning to harness your inner creativity? And these benefits are actually some that we get from research that has been done on creativity. So creativity helps you cope in the face of overwhelming decisions. It also enhances resilience. And resilience is especially important for us here in the Virgin Islands as we have come through hurricanes, we're coming through a pandemic. We live in a situation, small island in the Caribbean, isolated and differently resourced from other places. And so creativity will serve us well. There's some research that show that it might contribute to your psychological well-being. And these days, everything needs a creative approach. We live in what some might call a VUCA world, V-U-C-A. This is a terminology that we've borrowed from the military. Our world is volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, VUCA world. And understanding how we can use creativity in these situations will actually help us to overcome the situations that are upon us. Actually, creativity loves when things are ambiguous or complex. This is when it really can be harnessed. Creativity is also one of the more sought after attributes in business, as evidenced in this 2010 survey of CEOs. This is what was an IBM study, and 60% of the executives in this study ranked creativity #1 in terms of leadership qualities needed. When something is complex, when you've never seen it before, when you haven't quite had that breakthrough that you're looking for, this is when creativity matters. So here are some of the questions that I ask you to think about. When have you needed to be innovative as a matter of survival? When have you had to be resilient? That is not just adapting to change, but growing from it. When has the landscape changed through no fault of your own and you needed to change course midway? Can you think of some times? Here are some of the answers that I came up with, and I'm sure you probably did too. And the question is, when have you prepared for these? When did we prepare for COVID-19 pandemic or the hurricanes, or maybe an economic downturn caused by myriad things, including a pandemic or hurricanes, changes in staff that we couldn't foresee? Other times, business losses. When faced with times when you need to be flexible, these are the times that are just screaming for a creative approach. But an organized, well thought out, well proven approach to problem solving that anticipates complexity and takes you to innovative solutions. And this is when we come in. Introducing the UVI Creativity Lab, your creativity solution. This is the how that we want to leave you with. In order to better support organizational and personal creativity goals, as well as to put creativity into action, UVI launched a creativity lab. Through this entity, we provide training, not just for UVI, but for others in the wider territory and across the nation and internationally as well. And we provide this for others to learn more about the creative approach in their setting, as well as we provide tools and facilitation for using this approach. The Creativity Lab serves as a resource for the university, for the territory and beyond, for creativity training and facilitation. The mission of the lab is to expertly provide research-informed creativity models and tools so that each client is equipped and inspired to dream, plan, and achieve more. So how do we do this? First, we gather our team. The lab team is made up of trained creativity experts and all have academic training at the master's level from Buffalo State University's International Center for Studies in Creativity. This center is the first center to offer master's degree in creativity and has been providing academic programs for nearly 50 years. It's actually the first institution to offer creativity academic programs in the US. It was founded by Dr. Alex Osborne, who, among other things, is the person that coined the term and developed brainstorming. The team has also been trained in some techniques based on research that emanated from Buffalo State, in particular, foresight. Many of you might know of certain assessments that one might take for various reasons. You might have heard of Myers-Briggs assessment or DISC assessment. Well, this is similar to the foresight assessment, but foresight helps you understand yourself and others a little bit better, as do other assessments, but from the perspective of creative problem solving. How do you approach a problem or approach life when it comes to creativity? And this is what the foresight assessment can do. We offer strategic planning facilitation that incorporates a creativity approach, where we clarify, ideate, develop, and implement, and separate our thinking. We separate our divergent thinking from convergent thinking. We talk a lot about delaying judgment, and we really operationalize the creative problem-solving process. We also do training around the creative mindset. As noted, all in the lab are foresight certified, where we look at how one approaches creative problem solving. And so we're able to lead a team, your team, through their thinking profile and even use it as a group activity and leadership training activity in determining how to get a team that is more capable of breakthrough approaches and decisions. We have facilitated retreats, we've facilitated creative problem solving sessions, we've facilitated group visioning, among other efforts. We can also provide training for creativity, providing you with the resources, that is what we call trained creativity igniters that you identify from your team, as well as ongoing support from the Creativity Lab. We have created a 4-day comprehensive set of training that can be further supported by follow-up one-on-ones with the lab. So what are they saying? We've already implemented training activities within the territory. And here are some quotes from some of our trainees. I plan to use the tools and techniques that were shared with this session as I engage in future activities that involve creative thinking for the purpose of creative problem solving. I can use the tools both at work and personally. That statement for us really embodies what we hope each person gets from this, because creativity isn't something that you put on and take off once you leave work. It's something that you take with you throughout life. It will help me to think about creative ways to solve problems or create new ideas and plans. When I'm faced with a problem or task, I can use the techniques that I learned to reach a solution. It also taught me more about my preferences when working on a problem. By now, I'm sure you are wanting to learn more. And so we encourage you to contact us at UVI's Creativity Lab. Our email address is creativitylab@uvi.edu. And we look forward to hearing from you. Great. So that is who we are as a lab. And so now is a time, I guess, where we will entertain questions or share any knowledge that we have, whether it's about the lab or about creativity in particular, about how you might benefit, who might benefit, how your team can benefit, how you can have a highly trained creative team that really, you probably will feel like you can take on whatever life throws at you. So with that, I am going to turn it back over to Mary Jo.
Great, thank you, Dr. McHale. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And because of the size of the group this afternoon, if you would like to ask your question directly, please raise your hand and that feature is listed under reactions, and we will call on you to ask your question directly. And in the interim, while we're waiting for you to put your question in the chat, the first question in the chat is, what is the process for a small business after they have been referred to the UVI Creativity Lab?
So is that, does SBDC want to take that question, and then we can follow up on what happens after that?
Sure, I'll jump in, Dr. McHale. So essentially the first part is to reach out to the Small Business Development Center and let us know that you're interested in potentially working with the UVI Creativity Lab. What we'll do is we'll collect your company information and we'll enter that into our database, which is secure, and it is 100% private. So once we determine if you're a candidate, we will actually reach out to Creativity Lab, have one of them contact the small business just to make sure that it's a right fit for that small business, because some of the businesses out there may not necessarily be a good fit for a Creativity Lab, and vice versa. The Creativity Lab might not be a good fit for that particular business. So the first step is to reach out to SBDC. We'll get you set up in our system and refer you over to them. And they'll, I believe, will go through a process, which I think, if you don't mind, Dr. McHale or Mr. Drayton, perhaps maybe giving an overall update or overview of that particular process.
Yes, awesome. So we can then take it from there. That's exactly what happens. SBDC does what it needs to do to get you in contact with us, and then our team will meet with you. First, we have some questions just to help you identify whether or not there are things that you are grappling with that you might want a different approach on. We can talk to you about some of the other, some of the products, I guess, that we offer, whether it's training, whether it is you learning about yourself and your team, about your approach to problem solving, what is creativity. So there are a lot of things that we offer. And so the question is, which is right for you? And if anyone else from the team want to follow up on that, I can talk. So we offer strategic planning. Are you just starting up, and is that what you need? Is it that you have a plan, but it's not going right? Or is it that things have completely changed and now you need to identify some new goals? So each of those, is it that your team just is not clicking or not working together? Each of those is probably a different thing that we would do with you and your team. So, and we promise it will be enlightening and fun.
I was just going to add, we're very friendly group, and it's what we're talking about. They're very serious ideas and plans that have to be made. But part of creativity, part of it is having a great time while you solve those problems.
While we wait on some additional questions, in terms of working with the individual businesses, are you guys flexible in terms of scheduling? Because most small businesses are maybe 9 to 5. So would you work around their schedule?
Yes, we will. We try to be 9 to 5 as well, 8:30 to 4:30. But if we can't be, then we will try and work with that schedule. Because of COVID-19, we have been doing just about 100% of our activities virtually. And what that has meant is we have actually developed some, what we think are great approaches, great virtual approaches to creative problem solving, to group building, et cetera. That we've actually turned around, and I told you where we were trained and I gave them a lot of accolades, etc. But when we showed them what we have done, they go, oh, can we use that. So we've been trained, but we're also developing our own style. We try to be just very much, I mean, we are in this community, from this community. And so it's not this foreign thing that, you know, let's bring this thing in here. This is us doing this here. And I think we take a lot of pride in that. And we try to make it so that people are comfortable. We try to work with persons. Anyone else wants to add to that? I should also say Nick is on St. Croix. Deborah, Camille, and Leslie are on St. Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was just going to add quickly that you may recall that Camille in her presentation talked about clarify, ideate, develop, and implement. And the first thing that we do with all of our clients is clarify. We try to make sure that we're all on the same page. We understand each other. We understand what the expectations are of each other. And part of that is responding in the best way that we can to your time constraints, your availability, and those sorts of issues. That's the sort of clarifying, part of the clarifying process that we do right up front.
Mm-hmm. So there's some, someone asked about, is there a fee? So there is a fee, but thanks to SBDC, it will not be passed on to you at this moment. Is that right, Ted?
That is correct, Dr. McHale. Once again, because of the CARES Act funding that we qualified for, we're able to cover the fee through the end of September through the CARES Act money with UVI Creativity Lab. So don't wait until September to reach out to us to get you connected with the Creativity Lab. Reach out to us today and we'll see if it's a good fit for you and for them as well. So as of right now, there's absolutely no fee to small businesses in the territory that have been affected by COVID-19 to work with the Creativity Lab. Great question.
Go ahead.
What type of business would benefit from the product, the services being offered at the Creativity Lab? And is there a size limitation in terms of the business, the number of employees?
I know I've been speaking a lot and it's not because I have all the information. So anyone else wants to take this one on? I can just pick someone. Deborah.
There is no, oh, I think I'm unmuted now. There is no size requirement. We tend to work with teams. If you are a sole proprietor, then depending on what is we're working, we might put you in a group with some other sole proprietors. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's it. I forgot the first part of the question.
What types of businesses? Well, I think.
Oh, yeah, it could be any type of business. We're looking at the process of creativity and the product, not necessarily, not the output, not what you're doing. It's about how you work as a team, how your team can grow. So I think we could work with any type of business.
So I'm going to tell a story at Debbie's, about Debbie actually, but about who we work with. So we have worked with schools. We work with schools, and you know, we all know schools, they teach, and we understand that. We have worked with departments at UVI. We all work at UVI. We understand departments. They all have different issues they're dealing with, but you know, it's just a department. It's issues that we understand the words for. And we recently worked with a research team, and it's a research team. Yes, it's anchored here at UVI, but there are people from the out west. There are people in DC. There are people all over on this team. And we help them through visioning and kind of trying to connect things in their research and what kinds of research questions are they going to answer. I'm actually part of that research team. So I attended this creativity session with the Creativity Lab, not wearing my Creativity Lab hat. And at the end of the session, Debbie said, because it was extremely successful, I can tell you that the team right now is using the results of what we did in those 4 days. But you know, at the end of it, it's up to the team to use it and move forward. The Creativity Lab doesn't do it for you, right? But the thing that Debbie said that really struck home, she said, this is the first time I've facilitated a session, and remember I said it was a really successful session. I facilitated a session where I had no idea what they were talking about. Because unless we're training you in the process, like training you yourself to understand and do the process, if we're facilitating, we are not part of your content. You are the one, and you and your research team are the ones that actually own the content, what it is that's important, all that stuff, that is what you own, and we facilitate. So it depends on what it is that we're doing. If we're facilitating, it can be anyone doing anything where they've tried everything and they're now, you know, say, I need something else. I need to try something else. Or we can train you, that's the Igniter program, train you yourself to be an Igniter where you at least learn the process and you can apply it. And then you can come back for more and more training until you feel very comfortable.
So I just wanted to add, good afternoon, everyone. This is Leslie Tong. So what was said before, you know, in terms of the types of businesses that we work with individuals and groups, and the services that we offer are varied. And so one of the important things to note is that we work closely with you as clients to determine whether, you know, the service that we're offering, maybe what you think you need may not be what you really need, but we work to make sure that those are clarified before we move forward. And part of that training that we provide involves and includes the opportunity to even work in this virtual environment. Typically we would be on the ground in person, but we've been able to make the transition to offer services for a virtual environment using different tools and different platforms. And at the end of it all, you will not only understand what creativity as the concept that we're presenting is about, but you're able to learn or use tools, to apply tools to work through the different challenges that you might have. So just wanted to add that.
There was a question about how long does a typical session take, and it depends on what it is. So if it's strategic planning, I would say do not think that you can do strategic planning in 2 hours, right? It is going to take a couple of days, depending on how extensive your plan needs to be. It might take 2 days or maybe 4 mornings, so 3 hours each or something, so that you don't get burnout. If you are going to get creativity training, the curriculum that we've developed there, it's 4 3-hour sessions for the training to get trained in the creativity process and really understand it to the point where you can apply it. If you are wanting a facilitation for something, then I would say I don't think any facilitation is going to be less than 2 hours, but it depends on what it is. So we work with the clients to see what exactly is it that you're trying to do, what's the breakthrough that you're trying to get, and based on that we have, there is a pre-client meeting. We don't just show up. Right, so it does take time. And I think one of the things that we really want to drive home is we are not coming in to solve anything, right? So it's not that you lay your problems and we come up with a solution. It's we're helping you. And so it's a process. So we have to have you really recognize that you have to own that problem. So maybe the problem you're trying to solve is you need to reword it. So we work with you on problem statement, on how to ask questions, how might, in what ways might, rather than I can't. So we try and have you change your mindset in the way that you are approaching things, and change it in such a way that it opens you up to actually finding new ideas. So, and that is kind of the way the process works in a nutshell.
There was a question that was asking if you work with nonprofit companies. If the nonprofit organization contacts the SBDC and the SBDC determines that they're a good fit to work with the Creativity Lab, then the nonprofit organization will be referred to the Creativity Lab, because you can work with for-profit as well as nonprofit organizations, correct?
And we have. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, is there help for people wanting to start nonprofit companies in the territory? I think that's an SBDC question.
And the answer to that is yes. The person needs to register to become an SBDC client. Your information will be held confidential, and we will work with you through that process. And Doug, do you assist small businesses in accessing COVID-related funding? If the business was in existence prior to February 15, 2020, we can assist with accessing COVID-related funding. However, if the business started after February of 2020, they would not be eligible for COVID-related funding. But there are other funding sources that are available for businesses. And again, the SBDC could assist with that. Just register to become a client at our web portal, at our email, visbdc.org, and register to become a client, and we can work with you there.
I do want to say, let me interject 1 second here, because that's a great question about the federal monies having to do with COVID. So the current round of Paycheck Protection Program was released earlier in January, and it will be available until March 31st, 2021, or until funds run out. So if you're a business in the territory that has not yet applied for the Paycheck Protection Program, either the first go around or so far into the second go around, contact us today and we can point you in the right direction. Or if you're a business that had applied last year and applied for forgiveness, but need additional Paycheck Protection Program funding or guidance, once again, reach out to us definitely before March 31st, because that is the last day it is scheduled to be available. So any questions, just reach out to us and we'll clarify with that. So sorry, I just wanted to address that real quick.
So Mary Jo, there's a question about, well, a statement actually, that maybe if we can get some clarification on that statement. I'm interested in crowdsourcing creative solutions as well. So that's Kimiko. I might be mispronouncing your name, my apologies, but Link. Is that a question or just we are kindred spirits?
Oh yeah, it's we're kindred spirits for sure. But I was just wondering in terms of the creativity piece about crowdsourcing solutions, you know, looking to others in the community, you know, in addition to the experts for solutions.
Yeah, I said, so that's an awesome question, because one of the things that when you are actually looking for a creative approach to something, so let's say you are a business and and you're looking for an approach, or you're looking to solve something. You have, maybe not solve, but you're looking for new ideas around an issue. One of the things that we do for a session is we might ask you to identify some resource people. And resource people can come from anywhere. They don't have to know your business. They don't have to know your books. It could be that they're from your customer base. It could be that if you're dealing with children, they're from the parent base. It could be that they're grandparents. It could be that they have a business similar, or they have, you know, it could be anyone. It could just be someone you like talking to because they always have good ideas. And so you can bring people into the process as resource persons, because, you know, if anyone's ever been or know photographers, wedding photographers, right? How many pictures do you take before you get like the best one or the best few, or the, you know, thousands now that we have digital. And really, when we're looking for ideas, the more the merrier. So having more people in the room means more ideas, more viewpoints, etc. So creativity in the way that it's implemented is actually kind of like crowdsourcing. So.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it's exciting to hear about the way that that process works with your program.
So if I may, I would like to reiterate something again that Dr. McHale said in her presentation, and just in case you didn't miss it. Now, we've been talking about your business, and we've been talking about, you know, the support through SBDC and how we can help you with your challenges, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit group. But I don't want you to miss the value added experience that you get from what we offer at Creativity Lab. And it is that this is not something just for your business. This is something your experience will help you to understand your thinking style preferences, how you approach challenges, and how others around you also approach challenges. It will give you some insight into that. So it extends into your relationships at home, your family, your friends. If you are part of a community group that you're working with, there is value added to what will share with you that you can take beyond your business. And this is the beauty of the creativity. It's not something that you put on at 8:30 in the morning and switch off at 4:30 in the afternoon. It becomes a way of life, and it's very powerful.
This is Greg Kopach, a business counselor here in St. Croix. Sir, I want to ask a question based on what you just said, because we have opportunities every day to sit in front of folks with really, really great business ideas. There is no shortage of entrepreneurial spirit here. My question is this: they come to us in the concept stage. We really haven't even begun feasibility, if you will. Is there a best recipe for the Creativity Lab that might say, boy, that person would really benefit on the front end of this project? Do you understand my question? Is there a best case scenario where we could get that client who hasn't even really nailed down no feasibility, but to now enter this whole new creativity input?
Absolutely. So let me say that there are several tools in our creativity arsenal, our toolbox, as we like to call it, that can help with that. But we do have a favorite tool that really, again, is almost universal in application. And it helps an individual who has an idea, an individual or a group that have an idea, to deliberately evaluate the potential, the power of that idea, to assess what might be some of the issues that are involved with that idea, and all in a very positive and continually creative way of thinking and looking at the idea. And then, as often happens, as we apply the creative thinking tool, it's called POINT, by the way, POINT is the acronym. That person will and often ends up with not the original idea, but a much more refined version of the idea that then they could sort of take back to you, and you can help them to move forward with it.
Yeah, and that is in what we call the develop phase of the process. So we have the clarify, probably the pre-clarify, the clarify stage, the ideate stage, the develop stage, and then the implement stage. And in each of those stages, we're doing what we call diverging, looking at what are all the fill in the blank, what are all the ideas, or what are all the issues, and then converge. Okay, let's now go through and think of which ones, or do we see some clusters forming? I think usually what happens, and some of you here have been in some of our sessions, usually what happens is we come up with so many that you can't necessarily deal with it then. So, and that's why I think it's important for you as a client or as a business to know the process, because some of this stuff, you say, okay, I'm going to deal with this one now, and I'm going to come back to that one later. And you shouldn't have to call us every time, right? But so what we're here is to show you what are all the what are all the opportunities or issues, help you get some new thinking about it, and give you some tools to further develop it. Sometimes we can facilitate, and we facilitate a lot, but we find that persons also need to know how to take it from a certain place and play it out themselves.
And so, Greg, if I may give you a specific example of that, I'm not sure how we're doing for time, but the other thing that we do is we help individuals who may come with a number of ideas. Let's just say, to keep it simple, 2 ideas, and they're passionate about the 2 ideas, but they're not sure which one they should pursue. Well, we have tools that can help them to maybe consider combining the two ideas that may seem at first glance disparate and not in any way connected to each other. And the quick example is, if I asked you if you could see any connection between a waffle and the sole of a running shoe, an athletic running shoe. And the short version of that story is an individual actually looked at that square pattern on the waffle, your breakfast waffle, and saw a new type of sole for running shoes that would give increased traction. And that person is a millionaire today because they put 2 seemingly disconnected ideas together, and Nike bought it from them. So that's part of the creativity process as well.
I was going to answer this in the chat, but Kimiko, am I pronouncing it correctly? Kimiko? Are you working with government agencies and other organizations to apply this approach to some of the challenging issues facing territory and the world? That is our goal. So if we could just get, so part of it is, yes, the Creativity Lab, but if I can get a little bit more philosophical, that was also the goal of the PhD program, is to train leaders and make sure that leaders, if not trained in this approach, know about this approach, and also apply these types of approaches to leadership and problem solving in the future. So we're hoping that through training more persons, it's not, oh, some people are creative and some people are not. Some people know it and some people don't. We think everyone should. And I think people would feel empowered. So yes, and yes, that's, if we were able to do that, we would feel like we have arrived, because that was what we wrote on paper before the Creativity Lab was even in existence.
Dr. McHale, I'm going to jump in and add to that. So this is not only an opportunity for the SBDC to help small businesses in the territory, this is an opportunity for the world to learn more about what the Creativity Lab can do outside of going through SBDC. They are available directly for contact to work with other agencies or other islands or territories in the Caribbean and throughout the world. So if there is some other type of agency that wants to contact them directly, by all means, we're just using it as a platform for small businesses here in the territory. So, I mean, now's the time because tomorrow's never promised. So now's the time to reach out to SBDC to get set up with these folks. If you're a small business in the territory, or if you're a different type of agency, reach out to them directly and see how they can help you. So that's a fantastic point to make. So I'm excited of this, the place we're at now and the opportunity for years and generations to come.
And just to assist folks in making those contacts, the web address for the Creativity Lab is in the chat, as well as their email address, so you can contact them.
I wanted to talk just for a minute about our team building exercises. Part of what we do is also to give you a look at how you and your employees or co-workers, how you approach creative problem solving. And so there's an assessment tool we take, and you've heard the words clarify, ideate, develop, and implement already. Each of us has a preference in the way we approach problem solving, and we might be a clarifier, and that's a person who asks a lot of questions, and that person won't want to move forward so they fully understand the issue. And then we also have ideators, and those are people who love to think of ideas and come up with different ways to do things. And then we have developers, and those are the people who like to figure out the plan, like what would be the best way to solve this? What would be the best strategy to move forward? And then we have implementers, and those people, they get so excited when it's time to do the work and get it working and make a plan and have a timeline. So when you come to us, we can also give you those assessments, and that will help you understand the people that you're working with. I'm a high implementer, so I really don't care about any of the other areas. I just want to do the work. And of course, you know, when you're that kind of person like me, you bump your head a lot, right? But you might find that because of what your preference is, another preference might rub you the wrong way. Those, for me, it's clarifiers. All those questions, don't ask me another question, let's just get to work. But what I've learned during doing this work and in the study is that I need those clarifiers. I need to take time and listen to the answers to the questions. So that way, when I do get to implement and put something into practice, I'm doing it in a way that makes sense and not some crazy way that I just thought of and didn't test or try or plan. So that's another service that we offer. You can really get to understand your team and how you work together and how you can support one another in a great way. So that's another service that might be of interest to someone.
All right. I think we have one last question. Oops, one last question. I feel lost.
No, I think that's most.
Oh, okay. I feel most of the solutions are out there and often just a matter of connecting the dots, which I think your approach is so perfect for. Okay, great. Most. Thanks for the clarification. Okay, well, I think we've answered a lot of questions. We've covered a lot of territory. If you're interested in connecting with the Creativity Lab, contact the SBDC if you're a small business, and we will do an assessment to see if that's a good match. And if you're not a small business, you can connect with the Creativity Lab directly. Is that correct, Dr. McHale?
That is correct. And at Creativity Lab at uvi.edu. And before we close, before we get out of here, I really want to thank the SBDC for this opportunity, because it's really pushing us as well. It's making us be ready because we said we were. And Ted came, first was part of a session that we did, and then he's come to some training. And so this partnership is just one that we're super excited about. And I want to thank the SBDC for all the work that you're doing in the community, that you continue to do. And you continue to really make us do more with what we have. So thank you so much.
Our pleasure. And I'd like to do a quick poll before we go away. And the quick poll is, are you currently in business? So if the folks that are in the Zoom meeting, if you could answer that question, we greatly appreciate that. And we'll give you a few more seconds, like maybe 5. Okay, and with that, we're gonna close the poll. And I will share the results. 60% of our attendees are in business, and 40% of our attendees are not in business. And that's just the people that were in the Zoom meeting. That does not count the people that were on Facebook. So that's great. Oops, let me stop sharing it. All right. And okay, Dr. McHale, if you could put up the last slide. All right, so there's our contact information for SBDC. We're located on St. Croix and in St. Thomas. We serve the whole territory. We have relatively new offices for both districts. Our St. Thomas office is located in the old West Bay Merchant Markets building on the UVI campus, number 2 John Brewer's Bay. We are not seeing people in person in the office right now, but you can send us an email, you can connect with us on the website. And our St. Croix office is located at 6300 Estate Peters Rest, next to the old Sprint office, T-Mobile. And again, we're not seeing people in person in that office either for the time being, but you can still connect with us with our St. Croix phone number and our web address and email. So we want to thank you all for attending today's session and let you know that tomorrow we have another exciting session, and it's the number 2 webinar in our series of 8 webinars with Mark Wilson of the Wilson Group, and that's disaster preparedness and resiliency. And tomorrow's session is futurizing your business during COVID-19. That's at 2 p.m. and you can register again from our website or from our web portal. And we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Mary Jo, you're still recording.